Revolution of the Daleks was a fun episode in theory, but like a lot of things about the Chibnall era, that's mostly it. It's an episode of great moments, but because of all the things going on that the episode wants to do, those things don't get the attention that I think they deserve. A good example is the whole drone out of a Dalek thing. And eventually that's them replacing the police with those drones. That's an interesting idea. What if the police were replaced with a system that has no bias, no prejudices, no fear for its own safety, just programmed to end conflict, and then have it go entirely wrong as we know it would, because sci-fi even still bring in the Dalek idea. As a matter of fact, you could even sort of go with the... because this episode does sort of harkens back to something like Victory of the Daleks, with, Winston Churchill using the Daleks, except this time they don't know what the Daleks are, which is also weird because of how Doctor Who's continuity works. Like, how has no one ever seen a Dalek? It's just weird, but you see what I'm going for with the Victory aspect here. Because that setup is actually really cool. They take the Dalek casing, and say, hey, we can use this for something quote-unquote productive. The fact that it really only exists to sort of, break up riots is horrible, but a big issue is still, I think, what a lot of people view as police oversight, these sort of police covering for each other, corruption in the police system. Now you replace it with a system that is presumably free of that. That should be a great episode. That should be something that's explored. And you have Ron, Yaz, and Graham, and even Jack, and later the Doctor, pointing out that no, that's a Dalek. And it becomes a weird discussion about, hey, can something that had really bad origins be used for something positive? And then again, have it all go horribly wrong, but whatever. Robinson himself has never been a character I've enjoyed, and it's because he's just a parody of Donald Trump. Even the episode goes, it's like, no, Donald Trump is still here, so he's not a parody of Trump. Like, that's not how that works. Not how that works at all. And even people like Harkness in the UK have admitted to me that he kind of served no real purpose in that episode. Here, he's just sort of... he had a great setup. The idea that, he wants to do this. Might not be for the most noble of intentions. That's what he thinks is the right thing. And then he just sort of degrades into like a terrible person as it all goes wrong. Like, no, the PR, no, the money I've wasted. And then he's willing to sell everyone out to the Daleks. And to... like, it was better in Arachnids in the UK when he shot the spider, because that was still the right thing to do. Not the nicest thing to do, but still better than just watching the poor thing, struggle to breathe and slowly die. Putting it out of its misery was the right thing to do. Here, let's just be clear, he was going to sell them out. He was going to sell everyone out to be on top. And humans working with Daleks, that's happened before. That was Daleks in Manhattan. But whatever, overall, Robinson is kind of terrible. Also, didn't make the Doctor look that good when she was just going to let him go off to talk to the Daleks. I'm like, no, you use Venusian Akito on Ghost Monument. Use it now. Knock him out. Go about the day. But what I think really was where the episode dropped the ball was, again, the companions. And why, if anything, 3 companions is just too much for the show. The era where that worked just doesn't exist anymore. Now we have characters that are more multifaceted. Each of them has to have their own personal issues, their own drama. If that doesn't happen, we get a character, at best, like Rory, who's well-meaning but has one direction for his character. And for Rory, it was Amy. The episode tries to divide the whole thing up between Ryan and Yaz to carry it, but the problem is it doesn't quite stick the landing. While both of them are picking up from where their characters left off in Can You Hear Me, there isn't much to explain things now. And this could have been solved if we'd gotten things like, in Season 7, there were a bunch of shorts that came out from the BBC and Doctor Who about Amy and Roy's life, when the Doctor wasn't there. And one thing that we did see was their separation, and then we go to Asylum of the Daleks where Roy's bringing the divorce papers. Granted, I didn't know that was a thing until well afterwards. I saw it on YouTube. But imagine seeing little shorts of Ryan, Yaz, and Graham going through life without the Doctor. Or even like how the Woman Who Fell to Earth started off with Ryan on his YouTube channel. I'm not sure if they use the word YouTube, but talking to her. Like imagine there's like a conversation between Ryan, Yaz, and Graham, and they're just talking about what to do without the Doctor, and then it comes just Ryan and Graham, and they're like realize they haven't seen Yaz in a while, and go from there. But anyway, Ryan says he spent the time being there for his family and friends, but that's never shown. And again, that sort of little shorts or even a sort of montage, again with the three of them, would I think have helped that out. The idea that Ryan's happier here. This is a visual medium here. You should be able to show these things. And with Yaz, I'd say it's a bit worse, because Yaz has spent the past 10 months waiting for the Doctor. It would make sense, well, it would make sense that she'd have a lot to say to her, but again, because it's trying to set up everything else, like, Ryan and Graham leaving, as well as introducing Jack, and the Doctor's sort of weird, sort of identity crisis, not knowing who she is all the time in the Jadoon prison. And it's also weird to me because I'm not getting an explanation as to what Yaz has been doing the 10 months. Has she spent the entire 10 months in the TARDIS, only coming out to maybe pick up food, or has she just been going to work as well? Like, I was interested in the idea of Yaz being a police officer and Yaz wanting to do more. I felt her journey should have gone for her to realize, hey, maybe she's not ready, or realize that, hey, they are holding it back and she could do more. Instead, her police experience seems to be a non-entity here. Like, has she been fired? Like, has she been checking in? Whatever. And again, the same could be said of Graham, but Graham's story honestly finished not just this season, but in his first season, with the whole issue with him getting over or coming to terms with Grace's death. And even then, Graham's character has always been connected to Ryan, so when Ryan would leave, it makes sense for Graham to follow. And that doesn't mean there aren't things about this episode that I like. Alright, there are plenty of things I like here. Like, the Dalek design was an improvement over Resolution, but I think it could have looked a bit better, maybe a bit more like a police officer. I think that's why the black color was there, along with the sort of white at the edges. But maybe something, I know it's a bit garish, but let's go with orange, sort of have it stick out, but granted, it's a pepper shaker with a plunger on it, so yeah, it already stands out enough. The Doctor and Jack's dynamic I felt was fun, and the little mutant clone thing was just as good as it was in Resolution, as it takes over that nice little horror aspect. And the Doctor calling other Daleks to deal with the ones on Earth, I felt was insane at first, but honestly, I've had something similar in my head that the Doctor would have to do, that the Doctor would have to work with the Daleks to some extent. I think it probably already has happened, but whatever. And of course, watching how she dealt with them using the other TARDIS was possibly my favorite moment from this Doctor. Alright, it's a great scene. I think she played it up well. And it's a bit sad that we're on 2 seasons and 2 specials, and I now have a favorite moment. This puts it up to, I think, 2 of my favorite moments from this Doctor. The other being her making her own sonic screwdriver. But yeah, what does Revolution promise? What does the new year promise for Doctor Who? Well, I'll spend more time on Big Finish. I actually might start having more issues with Big Finish with the direction they've been going. But from the show standpoint, I'm still kind of not impressed. I'm hoping that by going down just one companion with Yaz, that we'll get more into her head, more into her character. They say they want to explore mental illness. I'm like, you haven't convinced me you're capable of doing that well, but I'm willing to be surprised. I'm always willing to give this show a chance. So anyway, with that in mind, let's bring this video to a close here. If you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching, and as always, may your fandom serve you well.